Alright, we're live.
Okay. Hi everyone, welcome to Alvernia Live Chat. We are now live across Instagram, Facebook and TikTok. I'm Dr. Cheryl Ngo and I'm from the Adult and Child Eye Clinic at Mount Alvernia Hospital. I'm very glad that you have taken time out today to join us during your lunch, and today the topic is keep those little eyes happy this holiday. So I'll be sharing and answering your questions on screen time and eye health now that the school holidays are fast approaching. So leave any questions you may have in the chat function and I'll do my best to get to it today. So let's start with the first question. Someone has asked, can eye exercises eliminate the need for glasses in children? So outdoor time is very important to help to prevent any eye problems such as myopia, but it does not actually eliminate the need for glasses if they do develop myopia. Eye exercises actually work more for problems like strabismus, certain eye exercises to control the drift of the eye, but if they do require glasses for other refractive problems, then they would still need to wear glasses as well. Okay, maybe we can move on to another question.
Hold on.
What eye symptoms can be safely monitored at home versus which require immediate medical attention in kids? This is a great question. I think there are certain symptoms that require immediate attention. For example, if the child has a sudden onset of eye pain, eye redness, or sudden onset of blurring of vision, these actually require immediate attention. So please bring your children to get an eye check immediately. Certain eye symptoms, like for example, if they are rubbing their eyes, they seem to be blinking excessively, they do get some eye redness off and on. I think these can still be monitored at home first, especially with some home remedies like maybe a cold towel to the eyes, good eye care habits. Yeah. Any new questions? Please keep them coming. So what are the subtle signs that a child might have a vision problem even if they haven't complained about their eyes? So some children, when they start to have vision problems, a lot of clues sometimes come from school teachers. The teachers may give feedback that the child doesn't seem to see well, appears to have to go closer to the front of the classroom to see the board clearly, or they may be squeezing their eyes a little bit to see clearly. These are some of the signs that the child may have problems seeing well in school. Sometimes also when they are looking at things at the distance, they may turn their head or turn their face, they tilt their head. All these are actually some subtle signs that the child can't see clearly. So a lot of children don't know that blurring of vision is not normal. So they may think that they are not able to see clearly, they may think it's normal when everybody else sees as blurry as them. So actually do bring your child to check their eyes if they start to, even if they don't complain about vision problems, but you notice some of the visual behaviors that they may not have be seeing well. It is also good actually for all children to have an eye screen when they reach about 4 or 5 years old, when they are verbal and able to recognize numbers or alphabets. It will be good to do a eye check for them, and thereafter every 1 year. Yeah. So keep those questions coming. I'll be happy to share anything I have, any information I have. Yeah. So perhaps a story I can share a little bit about a recent child I had seen. The parents actually did notice that the child wasn't seeing well, but because he seemed to be coping well in school, the parents did bring him to do an eye check. And quite surprisingly, when he came, his degree was actually in the thousands, and the parents were actually very surprised because they said he seems to be able to cope well, and even when they are about 500 degrees, they don't seem to see as well as the child. So they were surprised that his short-sightedness was actually in the 1000. So what children can do is called accommodate, where they can actually squeeze their eye muscles to allow them to see clearer than they can. So therefore, if a child appears to see well, it may not mean that they don't have visual problems. So do bring your child, like I said, to do an eye screen once they're about 4 or 5 years old, and every year thereafter. So in Singapore, usually for the Health Promotion Board, they will start doing eye checks at K1 level. And if you do miss the eye check, do bring your child to check on the outside, optometrist. And usually they will start to do vision check maybe again at primary 1 or primary 2 level. So it used to be done annually, but recently I think because of resources, so the Health Promotion Board only does the eye check every few years, and they may have let you your child bring home a vision chart. So use the vision chart to check your child's vision at home as well. Okay. So there's a new question on IG here. It says, my niece does spend quite long hours on the iPad and watching TV. Does prolonged screen time actually affect eyesight or worsen myopia in children? So the answer is definitely, yeah. So prolonged near work, whether it is on screen or even near reading, all these can actually increase the risk of worsening myopia as well as increase the risk of onset of myopia. So therefore, actually, managing screen time is very important in children, especially at a young age. We do encourage children less than 2 not to have any screen time at all. Children between 2 to 5 years old, maybe a maximum of 1 hour of screen time a day. And from primary school onwards, maybe not more than 2 hours of screen time, but with proper breaks. I think it's important to make sure they take an eye rest after half an hour. Yeah. So I know it's getting a little bit more difficult because in school they are already exposed to screen time, and a lot of their homework now is also based on screen time. So like student learning, SLS, the student learning space. So if your child does spend significant amount of time on screen, please make sure they take that frequent eye breaks every half an hour, and encourage them to go outdoors. Yeah, outdoor time is actually one of the most important determining factor to prevent the progression of myopia or even an onset of myopia. So one question on Facebook is there any way to detect lazy eye early? So one way, like we said before, subtle hints like if the child has a head tilt or a face turn, or they seem to be squeezing their eyes to look at things, bring them for an eye check. Other ways to detect lazy eye, for example, if there is a squint where the child's eyes don't seem focused, the eye seems to be wandering, either going inwards or drifting outwards. All these are some important signs that you need to bring your child for an eye check. Other than that, do a regular eye check at regular intervals. Yeah. So for lazy eye, it's a common misused term. So what does lazy eye actually mean? So lazy eye, in medical term, is also called amblyopia. Basically means the vision doesn't develop well, and there are actually a few causes to lazy eyes or amblyopia. One of them is visual concerns, for example, long-sightedness, short-sightedness, or astigmatism, and if it's not corrected, the child can develop this lazy eye or amblyopia. A second big cause of a lazy eye or amblyopia is when they have something called strabismus or a squint, where the eyes are not well focused. Like I said, it either drifts in or it's drifting out, and it can lead to poor vision developing. That's called amblyopia. We have someone from TikTok. How can I tell the difference between normal screen fatigue and sign that my child needs glasses? So screen fatigue is very common. The child may get blurry vision after prolonged hours on the screen. So with screen fatigue, usually the vision clears after an eye rest, say in about 5-10 minutes of closing their eyes, they can start to see clearly again. But if the child has refractive error and the child needs glasses, this doesn't recover even after they've taken an eye break. Yeah. So I think it's good to, like we mentioned before, to take frequent eye rest every half an hour, so to make sure that they don't get too long hours on screen. Okay, so someone from IG has asked about her child who likes to watch her iPad before she sleeps and then the dim light, and does brightness or dark room viewing matter? So if there is a very drastic contrast, say the room is very dim and the iPad is very bright, this very large contrast does increase eye strain. It makes the eyes more fatigued and more tired. So I would encourage that if the child likes to watch the iPad before sleeping, maybe sit upright at the table with good lighting, good ambient lighting, and then when it's time to sleep, turn off the iPad, turn off the lights. It's also actually a good habit to not have any screen time about 1 hour before sleep. This is to ensure that your child has a good quality sleep throughout the night. And it's known that if you do have too much screen time just before rest, it can actually lead to very interrupted sleep at night and not a good night's sleep. Yeah. So I think it's the same for even in the daytime. Try to make sure there's always good lighting, even if the iPad or even like a Kobo or e-reader is lit. Make sure the ambient lighting is good as well, so that there isn't too drastic a contrast. So are there any eye exercises to help relax the eyes? So a very good way to help the eye naturally relax is just to look far and to look outdoors. So there is old wives' tale where they said looking at green helps to relax the eyes. That is not wrong. So I would say if you do need to have an eye break, if you can, look out of the window, look far away. Yeah. Do have some daylight as well, natural light in the room, so that when they are taking eye break, they can actually look out of the window to relax the eyes. And it is encouraged that every day children should spend at least 1 or 2 hours of time outdoors in the day, so that there's some daylight. So the sunlight actually does help to prevent short-sightedness from developing, as well as short-sightedness from progressing. So of course, if the eyes are very tired and strained, for example from prolonged screen time, it also helps to maybe close the eyes, put a warm compress over the eye, just a warm towel or a warm eye mask. That actually does help to keep the eyes more relaxed as well. So maybe about 5-10 minutes before bedtime, that will be quite relaxing for the child. So what are some warning signs like persistent rubbing or redness, or if the child complains of dry eye, should they bring them in for an eye check? Yes, sometimes, especially when children get intermittent redness, they tend to rub their eyes or they tend to blink a lot. These are actually signs of eye allergy. So eye allergy is actually very common in our local setting. A lot of children, when they get eye allergies, they may not tell you directly that they get itchy eyes. They may either rub their eyes, or actually a very common symptom of eye allergy is frequent eye blinking, which concerns the parents a lot, but somehow children don't seem to be very affected by it. So when you bring them in for an eye check, besides making sure their vision is okay, if they have any signs of eye allergies, they can be treated with anti-allergy eye drops. And a lot of times, if they get intermittent redness and rubbing their eyes, you should look around their eye, their environment, to make sure there's nothing that is irritating their eyes a lot. So a very common culprit is actually soft toys on the bed. Yeah, so that is one thing that children find very hard to let go, and parents find it very hard to persuade children not to have soft toys on the bed. But it is a very common source of allergy, because soft toys, fabric, all trap a lot of dust mite, and these, when the children sleep with them overnight, do cause a lot of allergy symptoms. So not just on the eye, but even nose, so they get persistent sniffing. Yeah, some of them do get pretty bad eczema as well. Okay, so someone from TikTok has asked, my child keeps rolling his eyes left and right, especially when watching TV or reading. So this is quite related to the question that I previously answered. This may be a sign of eye allergy. So she did mention that it comes and goes after a few months. So children who tend to blink a lot, roll their eyes, rub their eyes, it means that their eyes are irritated, and we need to check why they keep getting this irritation. So check for possible sources of eye allergy. So remove any soft toys from the bed, wash the bed linen, the bed sheets, pillowcase, blankets in warm water every week. Yeah, and this is why, especially when watching TV or reading. So that's because when you, especially like watching TV or screens, it's a bright screen. So bright light tends to irritate the eyes more when the child is allergic. And reading, there's some eye strain as well involved. So this tends to become more prominent during these activities. Yeah. So it comes and goes after a few months. I think one thing to see is if you can find any triggering activity or any triggering event that may make your child roll his eyes left and right. For example, was there a recent visit to a zoo or indoor playground, or did the child carry a new toy to sleep? Was there an occasion where the child had maybe gone to a place where there's where it was dusty, for example, a dusty bookshelf? Has there been recent construction near the home or in school? Yeah. So all these may give you a clue to why the child starts to roll their eyes. So once again, if your child do display these symptoms, maybe bring your child in for an eye check. If necessary, you can start anti-allergy eye drops. Yeah, and for allergies, cold towel works best. So a cold damp towel, you can put a wet cloth in the fridge, in a Ziploc bag, and when necessary, you take it out and then just place over the eye of the child. So we're going to say hi to our new joiners. I think they have quite a few who have just joined us on our various platforms. So welcome to Alvernia Live Chats. So once again, I'm Dr. Cheryl Ngo. I'm from Adult and Child Eye Clinic, which is at Mount Alvernia Hospital. Thank you for taking your lunchtime to join us for this conversation. And today we are all sharing and answering questions about screen time, children's eye health, and anything in between. So feel free to leave any questions you have in the chat function. Yeah. Okay, so someone has asked on IG if there's any difference between watching content on an iPad versus a TV screen. So a small screen, which is closer to the eye, there is actually more eye strain compared to a TV screen, which is larger and further away. So in terms of impact on the eyesight and the likelihood of developing myopia, definitely big screen further away is better than a small screen up close, because there's more eye strain when it's small and up close. The chances of developing myopia or myopia progressing is actually higher. Yeah. So whether it's big screen, small screen, still take eye breaks every half an hour. Yeah, and remember to manage the screen time, the total screen time in a day. This is across all, whether it's on iPad or TV or mobile. Yeah. Okay. So someone has asked on IG, they've seen those opaque glasses with pinholes for kids. So it's actually a pinhole glasses. What do they do? Actually, it is not useful in helping to prevent problems in your child or to control any eye problems. So what are they? They're actually used in our eye test to see whether your child has a refractive error. Meaning if your child doesn't see clearly and we put pinholes over the eyes and they see clearly, it is likely that they will have an eyesight issue, then they may need glasses. So it doesn't help for anything, but if you have seen any reports from your child's school health screening, they may have put there P. For example, if the vision comes back as 6/9 P, that means with a pinhole, the child can see 6 out of 9. Okay, so just for everyone's curiosity, 6/6 is perfect vision, 6/9 is still considered acceptable vision. But if your child's eye screening comes back as 6/12 or worse, that is not good. It's definitely something you need to bring your child to do an eye check for. Yeah. Okay. Can move on to the next question. What can we realistically do to slow worsening eyesight? Do breaks actually help, and how often? For sure, eye breaks help. So as mentioned previously, for any form of near work, whether it's screen or reading or doing homework, try to take a 5-minute eye break every half an hour. And actually one of the easiest, cheapest and most effective methods to slow worsening eyesight is to spend time outdoors. So every day 1 to 2 hours of time spent outside in the natural daylight is actually recommended to help to prevent and slow down the worsening of myopia. Yeah? Okay, how about our next question? Okay, sometimes my son tells me different colors from what we see. He tends to blink hard as well. Is this something we should worry about? So if you find that your child's color differentiation is a little bit different from yours, it might be useful to do a color vision test for your child. So red-green color blindness is one of the most common color deficiency problems, and it's actually more common in males. So I think it is actually good to do a color vision test. So don't be worried about getting the results of a color vision test and whether this may affect your child in the learning, because in red-green color blindness is actually very common. It actually doesn't really affect most career choices, but sometimes informing the school about a color deficiency may actually alert the teacher to any potential problems your child may have with color differentiation, and it's important especially in tertiary learning so the teachers can give any help when needed. Yeah. So blinking hard, sometimes it could be from eye strain or eye allergies, so you should bring your child to do an eye check to make sure that he doesn't have any problems in terms of color differentiation, or if necessary to give the child anti-allergy drops, we can do so as well. So when does squinting become a concern for my child? So if your child seems to have to squeeze the eyes to see clearly, I think that is a concern. Definitely, especially if you see the child doing that when looking at things that are further away, or if your child's teacher notices him or her doing that during class, I think that is definitely a time for you to bring your child to do an eye check at an optometrist to make sure that the child can see well and they are not squeezing their eyes to be able to see clearly. And how does astig develop in children, and can it be fixed early? This is a very good question that I have a model here to show you. So this is the front of the eye, called the cornea. This is the clear surface. So in a perfect eye, it should be nice and round like a soccer ball. But if this part of the eye, the cornea, is shaped more like a rugby ball, what happens is that when light falls onto the eye aren't all projected to the back of the eye, called the retina, at the same place. So the light is scattered, and therefore in Chinese they call astigmatism 散光 because of this, where the light is scattered to the different parts of the retina, and it causes the vision to be blurry. So in a way, astigmatism, it is developmental. Some children are born with the corneal surface which is not even, not regular, but it can also be something that children can get later on. For example, if they do have eye allergies and they tend to rub their eyes a lot, they can change the shape of their cornea. So therefore, we always encourage children not to rub their eyes too much. If they get itchy eyes, get it treated. Cold towel if necessary, anti-allergy eye drops if it's necessary. And can it be fixed? It's also with glasses, so that it enables them to see clearly. So you make sure that when the light falls in, it actually all projects to the same place in the retina at the back of the eye. Okay, so from IG I have a question about is reading physical books equally stressful to the eyes, and does posture or viewing distance matter? So physical books is also a form of near work, so it's as stressful for the eyes as screen time actually. So for any form of near work, yes, we do encourage eye breaks. It's just that I think a device is a lot more addictive for most children than a physical book. So physical book is still preferred over a screen. And posture and viewing distance, yes, it does matter. We will encourage children to sit upright, put the book on a table with good lighting. And the viewing distance, we usually will encourage about 2/3 arm length, not too close to the face, because if not, that actually increases eye strain. Yeah. So we do have 5 minutes left. We would like to ask if any more questions, please feel free to put them in. I can probably take about 1 to 2 more questions, so feel free to leave any comments you may have. Any recommended food that's good for our eyes? So in general, we do encourage all children, for their general health and well-being, to have a good balanced diet, a good intake of protein and carbohydrates and fruits and vegetables. So any recommended food for the eye, we do encourage green leafy vegetables like spinach, colored vegetables such as carrots, capsicums are good for the eyes, and fruits such as blueberries are also touted to be good for the eye. But generally, we recommend food from natural sources. So supplements are actually not quite necessary unless your child is a really fussy eater and doesn't like to take fruits and vegetables. Yeah? So we thank you for everyone for being so forthcoming with all your questions today and for joining us during your lunchtime. I had a lot of fun answering all your questions, but if you have any more questions, please feel free to reach out to us at Mount Alvernia Hospital. And we also share some cut downs of our video today on our social media, so please keep a lookout for it. And follow us on our socials like Facebook, Instagram and TikTok, and to stay informed of all the upcoming informative sessions that are coming up this year. Thank you very much and see you all soon. Bye!